James had never felt so out of place in his own life. It wasn't the crowd, the flashy decorations, or the extravagant cocktails, it was the way she was behaving. Emily, his wife of 5 years, had been distant for weeks now, but tonight at her boss's annual holiday party, the distance was impossible to ignore. She laughed at the right moments, clinked glasses with colleagues, and leaned into conversations, but every time James tried to catch her eye, it was as if he didn't exist. His stomach twisted with unease as he watched her drift from one group to another, her smile bright but reserved for everyone except him. He'd expected some small flirtation, some casual brush of attention that would remind him they were still a team. But there was nothing. Only a wall. A barrier he hadn't seen coming. He had asked her earlier if she wanted him to come tonight. She had shrugged, smiled faintly, and said it would be fine. Now he understood it wasn't fine. It was deliberate. At first, James tried to shake it off, telling himself that she was stressed, that the work year had been brutal and maybe she just needed to escape for a few hours. He sipped his drink slowly, letting the ice clink against the glass, hoping that any moment she would notice him, lean over, and share one of those familiar laughs that used to make everything feel okay. But it never came. He watched as she leaned in close to her boss, whispered something that made the man laugh, and then turned toward another coworker with the same energy she had once reserved for him. The realization hit him slowly, painfully. He was invisible tonight and perhaps for longer than just tonight. He tried to approach her once, cutting through a circle of colleagues. He opened his mouth to speak, a simple joke, a remark about her shoes or the appetizers, anything to break the ice. Emily looked at him briefly, nodded, and then returned her attention to the woman in front of her, leaving James standing there, frozen and awkward. The warmth that used to come from her gaze, the small gestures of connection, were gone. He realized he had spent months ignoring the early signs, brushing them off as fatigue or business stress, or temporary irritability. He hadn't seen it clearly until now. She didn't need him. She didn't even notice him. As the evening wore on, James felt his anger simmering under the surface. He could feel it in his chest, in the tightness of his jaw, in the subtle clench of his fists. Every smile she offered to someone else, every hand she rested on another's shoulder, every moment of shared laughter that didn't include him, it was a reminder of what had been stripped from him without confrontation. He had always thought their marriage was resilient, strong enough to survive long hours, ambitious careers, and small misunderstandings. But standing here tonight, he realized that strength had been an illusion. James moved through the crowd, pretending to engage in conversation, nodding at colleagues' stories, laughing at jokes that didn't reach him. All the while, he kept stealing glances at Emily. He noted the way she tilted her head toward one particular man, her eyes lingering just a little too long, her laugh a little too warm. It wasn't the first time he had noticed a spark between her and someone else, but it was the first time he felt powerless, the first time it burned with such intensity. He had no plan, no proof, only a gut-wrenching certainty that what he feared might be true. The party seemed to stretch endlessly. Every toast, every cheer, every laughter felt like a confirmation that he was being replaced, not in life but in attention, in intimacy, in priority. And then, as if the night wanted to punish him further, Emily drifted away from the crowd, toward a quiet corner where the lights were dim and the music soft. James followed cautiously, trying not to alert her, trying to understand what was happening. From where he stood, he could see her talking to the man he had noticed earlier. Their conversation was light, casual, but their body language spoke louder than words. She leaned closer, laughed gently, her hand brushing his arm. James' chest tightened. The sting of betrayal was immediate and sharp. He knew he couldn't confront her here. Not in front of the crowd, not in the middle of a party designed to impress, to show unity and happiness. So he stayed back, watching, heart hammering in his chest, mind racing. He replayed the weeks, the subtle changes, the sudden long nights at the office, the missed dinners, the distracted responses, the hurried texts. Every small thing she had done to close him out of her life became a puzzle piece in a picture he hadn't wanted to see. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, James made a decision. He left. He couldn't stay here, pretending, smiling, enduring the pain of seeing her in the warmth of someone else's attention. He stepped out into the cold night air, the sounds of laughter and music fading behind him, leaving only the quiet and the rush of his thoughts. He walked quickly, each step heavy with frustration, confusion, and heartbreak. 6 minutes. 6 minutes after he disappeared from the party, his phone buzzed. The message was from Emily. Simple. Direct. Almost casual. "Where did you go? Are you okay?" James stared at the screen, disbelief and fury intertwining in his chest. Her tone was light, almost playful, as if she hadn't just spent the night making him feel like a ghost in her world. The juxtaposition was unbearable. He wanted to throw the phone across the street, wanted to ignore it, wanted to feel nothing. But he couldn't. He had to read it. He had to see the words that had been sent without awareness of the destruction she had caused. The next message followed almost immediately. "I'm sorry if I upset you. Didn't mean to hurt you. Can we talk?" James' hands trembled as he scrolled back through the conversation, trying to reconcile the woman he loved with the woman who had been so distant, so cold, so cruelly indifferent tonight. He had expected confrontation, perhaps anger, perhaps shame. Instead, there was an attempt at casual repair, a message sent too late, too small, too inadequate. He walked the empty streets, phone in hand, mind spinning. The image of her laughing, leaning in close to someone else, refused to leave his mind. He realized painfully that apologies sent after the fact were meaningless. Actions had already been taken, connections formed, attention shifted. 6 minutes after he left, she reached out, but the damage had been done. He had witnessed what he needed to witness. The night, the party, the subtle betrayals, they had all added up. And no message, no apology, could erase the emptiness that had settled in his chest. By the time James reached his car, he had made a silent decision. He wouldn't answer. He wouldn't explain, justify, or beg. Her words, though filled with regret, would not draw him back into a narrative where he had been erased, dismissed, and overlooked. 6 minutes after leaving, her attempt to reach him only confirmed the truth. The barrier she had built between them was deliberate, and now, it was unbreakable.